This is KUGAN CASSIUS for IFL TV, proudly sponsored by Everlast. We're in the Matchroom bubble, head of Chisora Parker, Taylor Jonas, and a whole host of other fights live on Sky Sports, Box Office, and DAZN. Delighted to be joined by Mr. Andy Lee. How are you, Mr. Andy Lee?
I'm good, very good. Enjoying my first Matchroom bubble.
Yeah, it's a bit of a weird one, isn't it? Unless you've been in a bubble, it's kind of difficult to explain that whole being locked in a room for 24 hours. Well, you're not locked in the room, but you're not allowed out of the room, and then seeing life pass you by outside.
Yeah, and I couldn't imagine, with this mandatory hotel quarantine, doing it for 2 weeks or 10 days, whatever it is now. It's tough. You miss the fresh air.
Absolutely. We've got a little bit of a courtyard going on out there that's been constructed by Matchroom.
Yeah, I haven't been out there yet.
I know you've obviously spoken about this previously, but just wanted to kind of talk about your link up with Joseph Parker, which was perceived as an interesting and a sensible move from Joseph. But just talk to me about how this come along, like the bare facts. We know that Tyson Fury had some input in this as well. So yeah, just talk to me about that, Andy.
Tyson was the main reason it happened. Joseph wanted to change trainer. He rang Tyson looking for advice. Tyson recommended me. I had been in Morecambe with Tyson through January and February, training him, just the two of us. And it was off the back of that work that I got the recommendation. And it was nice. We spoke, me and Joseph, over the phone, over Zoom, a few times over the weekend. That happened on a Friday, and by the Wednesday he was in Dublin and we were training together. So it was a quick turnaround. We've had 8 weeks together. By fight time it'll be 8 weeks, and he's made some improvements in training anyway, so hopefully they can show up in the fight.
Joseph obviously has spent the whole of his career up until now with Kevin Barry. So when you look at kind of where Joseph is in his career now, what do you believe that you can kind of add or improve to his existing game?
There's a number of things. So everyone can improve, and I think fighters are always looking for knowledge or looking to improve, always looking for an edge. With Joseph, it's something that I thought, but from watching him, that he would often have momentary lapses in concentration during a round. He'd have moments where he'd do very good, something very, very good, and then he'd switch off at times and allow his opponent to come back into the contest. So that's one of the main things I've been trying to correct. His balance, his distribution of weight, not so much on the front foot, more on the back foot. How he transfers his weight when he punches, how he uses his shoulders, and yeah, those are just 3 small things, but if you can correct those, it'll make a big difference, because when you've been a world champion and you're already such an accomplished boxer, it's only small little things that you can improve on, but those small things make you incrementally better. And it's more about, the biggest one is the concentration. The best fighters are always focused for every second of the round, and you'd be surprised how many fighters don't do that. But it's about being ready and being switched on and not giving. Even when you have if you have a lapse as a fighter, your opponent will instinctually recognize that, and then you'll find yourself under attack. So it's about being ready and presenting that readiness.
Probably the most unpredictable person in the ring and outside the ring in Derek Chisora that Joseph faces. We know the fight was meant to have taken place a couple of years ago. Spidergate came along, which I'm sure will be brought up this week. Didn't happen. It's happening this weekend. But with someone like Chisora, how do you train for someone like Chisora, where we literally don't know what Derek Chisora turns up to fight night. We don't know what Derek Chisora turns up to a fight week. As well, for the last however many years, he's been in some very entertaining fights. Hasn't always come out on top, but he's always been relevant in the heavyweight division. So how do you train for someone like Derek Chisora?
Chisora is a great fighter, one of the best of British boxing's, modern, this recent era, as you said. nights of entertainment, sometimes winning, sometimes losing, but guaranteed a good fight. And I don't think it's as unpredictable anymore. There were times when he wouldn't show up for fights, but more recently, in recent years, he's always come and he's embodied that slogan, war, because he comes to bring it. So how you prepare for that is by going to war yourself in the gym, preparing yourself mentally and physically, toughening yourself up, knowing what to expect in terms of that he's going to come forward, and you know I've watched him, studied him, and know his moves, and practiced defending those moves and countering those moves with Joseph. I think he's grown and he's improved as a fighter over the years. When you come back to fights with Pulev and other fights with Caballal, he's improved even now. And as I said earlier, fighters are always looking to improve. And I think he's a lot more balanced out as a person as well. As people love him now, you know, he's a cult hero. Before, I think having an erratic personality reflected his erratic style. Now he's a lovable guy outside of the ring, but also like a warrior inside the ring. And if Joseph switches off, if Joseph has a bad night, he'll get knocked out. Joseph knows that. I've told him that. It's no secret. So Joseph has to be on point.
Chisora has added Paddy McGirt, obviously renowned trainer over the years, someone you'll be very familiar with, to his team. Again, the question with someone who's more advanced in their career in terms of experience, Chisora is over Parker. What does Paddy McGirt bring to someone like Derek Chisora? And speaking to Paddy McGirt the other day, you know, he said that he'd never seen Derek Chisora fight. I found it really fascinating when I hear a coach speak like that. And even when he'd linked up with Derek, he still hasn't watched any of Derek's fights. Is that a normal thing, trainer-wise?
It's not. Well, it wouldn't be. It's always an advantage to know what you're up against. But I've heard what he said about previous fights, even when he trained Kovalev, that he wouldn't look at. He wouldn't I'm not sure Buddy McGirt would even have watched Joseph fight. Never mind Derek. But what Buddy McGirt is, and what Derek might have been missing in the last while, if he can't change anything in training, he's a great cornerman, as well as a coach, but a great cornerman, and he will steer Derek through the fight. And that's, like, I don't think against Usyk, I'm not sure, I don't want to be critical, but I didn't see much cohesion in the corner or one authoritative voice. But he certainly have that with Buddy. He'll have someone who has a wealth of experience and knowledge, and so that's if that alone is a big asset. You know, even if he doesn't do anything with him in the gym, having that voice in the corner will be a big asset to Derek Chisora.
What is the path for Joseph Parker now, Andy? I'm sure this would have been discussed at some point in your time. Obviously, we know Joseph has reached kind of the heights of being a world champion, and you know he's been in with the likes of Joshua, Dillian White, etc., Andy Ruiz. But what is the pathway now to get Joseph Parker back in contention to win a world title? It's very difficult at heavyweight now with the belts kind of seemingly tied up with the AJ Fury situation, but I'm assuming that Joseph wants to get back what he once had.
Well, we'll come up with a deal with Tyson, off the books, off the record, that we're going to clean up all the other contenders. When Tyson beats AJ, he's going to give us one of the belts. That's true. That's not a joke.
That's not a joke?
No, Tyson's going to vacate, and we're going to get the title back.
I don't know whether to take you seriously there or not, Andy, to be honest.
I said to Tyson when he called me about training Joseph, I said, what about you? Isn't that a conflict of interest? You know, we work together. He said, I'll never fight Joseph. We're too close. We're like brothers. So unless Tyson vacates the titles in a year or two, whenever he's finished with them, it'll be hard to see anyone getting those belts off him, you know? But for Joseph, this fight is all that matters, and it's about looking good and winning the fight in a good fashion. Then you look at the rest of the heavyweight division. Usyk, Joyce, they're in the WBO, which Joseph was rated in. Dillian White, I think it's a rematch he'd like. I think there's maybe unfinished business there. I think it'd be a great fight as well. I think it'd be a pleasing fight for everyone to watch. Hunter and Herkovich, they're going to fight each other, the winner of that. There are a lot of options. The heavyweight division is, and then Andy Ruiz. I think people have like written Wilder off. I think Wilder's still the most dangerous heavyweight out there. Unpredictable and dangerous. Yeah. So it's a good division. Good to be involved in it. And I think Joseph wins his fight. He's right in the mix with the top men.
Obviously, Andy Ruiz mentioned him there. He's in action this week, and he makes his return to the ring against Chris Arreola this Saturday night as well. So, yeah, there's so many kind of pieces to this heavyweight jigsaw that, you know, and you put any of them with anyone, it works regardless of whether there's a belt on the line. There's so many fights in that heavyweight division that people will take regardless of whether it's for a world title or not.
And you put Derek Chisora or any of them on his night, you'll beat them. So Joseph also knows that, like that. Outside of the top three guys, maybe Derek Chisora's game for any of them. You know what I mean? So, yeah, and with these big guys, with the entertainment they give in, I don't know if the title is essential for them. Of course, it's with the two big guys. You want to see Joshua and Fury for all the belts. That's what everybody wants, an undisputed champion. But for the rest of them, they might have to content themselves with fighting each other for the right to eventually challenge one of them. And I'm sure Dillian White will be frustrated because he's been so long a contender. But that's just the way things are.
Let's try and extract some information from you. We know, obviously, your close affiliation with Tyson Fury. We saw Tyson Fury on a jet somewhere going with Bob Arum yesterday, I think it was. I think I don't know, what are we waiting for? Are we waiting for a confirmation that it's happening? Is the long delay something to do with something being wrong? Can you tell us anything?
As Tyson said to me, snitches get stitches. So, listen, I don't know. I don't know. I know as much as you know. You probably know more than me with your connects. I don't know. I think until I don't know. I think Tyson's being completely honest, and I don't think there's anything. It's not like they're keeping anything secret. I think
it's just a big fight that there's a lot of details that need ironed out.
Yeah, of course there is a lot of iron out, but I think I don't even know if we're at the detail stage yet. I think they're probably still at the where's it going to be held stage and when's it going to be held stage. So that's like one of the main things you have to tick off. So. I have no idea. I'm not involved in any of that, so I'm just talking rubbish now. But my impression is that it's not close yet. I don't know, but it could be announced tomorrow. You never know the way these things happen.
Yeah, I mean, Bob Arum comes out yesterday and says he's kind of questioning Eddie Hearn's, in his words, radio silence over the situation regarding the site deal. It's like a soap opera that, yeah, of course, and it could be like we could hear an announcement tonight. Or we might be waiting another 2 weeks. We don't know. Yeah,
I totally agree. It's all like gamesmanship and brinkmanship, and it's all to be negotiated for, isn't it? And that's what it's all about. It is the details. The devil's in the details, and they have to be right for a fight of this magnitude.
Very professionally answered, Mr. Andy Lee. You playing poker later?
I am. Brought the chips. Brian Peters told me bring chips, so I got them.
Okay, just finally, just coming back to this card, obviously aside from Joseph's fight with Derek, there is in some people's eyes kind of maybe the pick of the fights on the bill between Katie Taylor and Natasha Jonas. Careful what you say, because Brian Peters is standing right there. This is a great fight.
Great fight, and one that's been a long time coming since the Olympics, really. Since they both turned pro, everybody wanted to see that fight. And Jonas is a live dog. She's dangerous. Southpaw, decent puncher, has a good style. Katie likes to hold her feet and let her hands go, and Jonas will try to cover up and catch her in the midst of punching, in between her punches. So it's an interesting fight. And then you got a good card. You got James Tennyson, who's one of the most exciting fighters, Irish fighter of the year probably. I'm not sure if I'm doing anybody a disservice, but he's been one of the most exciting fighters I've seen in recent times. Chris Eubank Jr. will bring an element of entertainment. Bivol against Richardson, which was an interesting fight as well. Am I forgetting anybody?
Campbell Hatton also in his second fight.
Yeah, and another step.
Scott Fitzgerald as well.
Oh, Scott Fitzgerald, yeah. And Campbell, see how he goes. Next progress, see how his progress is going. It's really interesting to follow his career. Yeah.
We'll look forward to it on Saturday night. Yep. So, we give a mention obviously to Paddy Donovan as well. Yeah, you pleased with kind of the way things are progressing with Paddy?
Yeah, unfortunately he injured his hand. We would have fought again by now, but he's be back punching in the next 2 weeks, and then we'll plan for the next fight. He'll be stepping up to 8 rounds next, and hopefully a WBC youth title by the end of the year. But he is an exceptional, one of the most exciting prospects, and you don't see people knocking people out like the way he does. So keep tuned in, keep looking out for him. Yeah, Jason Quigley as well, fighting May 29th.
Mosey Jr.
Shane Mosey Jr. in Las Vegas. Yeah. And Jason's had a tough year with COVID and cancellations, but he's got a real determination about him now, and I think he's at his peak. So we'll see the best of him.
How many fighters do you think you will train at one time?
I think probably at the max at the moment. Probably at my max. For Joseph, Tyson, I'm only an assistant. Sugar Hill's the man. I just have a passing job there, a little job. Joseph's hands-on, full-on. I'm cooking for him, I'm driving for him, I'm doing everything, babysitting, doing everything for him. So that's a big commitment, and you're taking on a whole. Like when you train somebody or manage somebody, it's you're taking on a dependent, really. It's my food. Well, Joseph's.
Is that your food?
It's Joseph's. Cooked especially by the chef. I got Jason and Paddy, and I got a young kid called Jim Donovan, who's an amateur, sensational talent. And
is he related to Paddy?
Paddy's first cousin, and the two of them train together. And Jim, he's a European champion as an amateur, very, very good fighter. And that's it. Paddy, Jim, Jason, Joseph, and Tyson. That's it. Yeah. You gotta give fighters time. You can't just have guys, and you have to be stimulated when you're going in there and be excited about it. And you can't just be. When I train people, I like to give them time, and that's, so you have to be selective who you train.
Okay, Mr. Andy Lee, thank you very much for talking to IFL TV. It's going to be a very interesting week. Wednesday today, there are some real characters in the bubble this week, and more to be added tomorrow. So, yeah, whatever will happen, will happen.
I'll just keep my head down when the chairs start flying.
Andy Lee, thank you very much for giving IFL TV some of your time, and we'll catch up with you again this week.
Cheers, buddy.